Hello there, my name's Card. I'm a long-time community activist and organiser, and today I just wanted to briefly talk about trying to find any sort of progressive upside to Brexit. Now, if I'd been a UK voter back when the Brexit vote were held, I would have voted to remain, and 7 years on, that still looks like it would be the preferable option. There's hundreds of places out there where you could get a systematic breakdown of why that is. But I do try to find the positives even in the most unfortunate situations. Lots of activists on the broad British left had been making fairly pointed critiques of the European Union for decades prior to the referendum. And it's not like those sorts of concerns from the left were ever properly in the mainstream political consciousness of the United Kingdom, but they were somewhere out there. Apart from all the abstract populist huffing and puffing about not being ruled from Brussels or whatever, a few of the EU regulations effectively rolled back in the UK since Brexit do include a couple of pieces of legislation here and there that used to make striking harder. Now, businesses based in the UK have fewer ways to move their operations around to avoid raising wages for their employees, and theoretically there would be fewer impediments towards renationalising Britain's rail industry if it had a government interested in doing so. But, all in all, most of the supposed benefits the UK is getting from Brexit have to do with significantly deregulating domestic businesses. That means a lot of stripping away worker protections and food safety standards mainly. It's not great stuff. Between all that, plus stuff like the pound sterling suffering from a lot of inflation since, the massively reduced ability of UK citizens to travel, price hikes on even basic stuff like food and fuel, and the very intentional gutting of the NHS by the incumbent Conservative Party, Great Britain isn't looking so good nowadays. However, I think there is another angle that's worth considering, especially as a leftist who critically doesn't live there. Should we progressives be happy that the United Kingdom is being so thoroughly humbled? Maybe. The UK hasn't been a major imperial power for a while now, but they're still a massive economy with a lot of people and a fairly sizable amount of influence and power. Don't get it wrong. But they have definitely been declining for a long while now. Over the last 70 years, pieces of their empire have been periodically snapping off, their global hegemonies run dry, and despite essentially winning every war they fought, they're no longer the global #1 superpower. Britain was able to stave off the inevitable for a little while, but history is finally starting to catch up to them, especially since the English voter just seems to keep falling for the Tories' line that more austerity and more xenophobia will fix everything. Calling the whole Brexit referendum, and voting in favour of it, and going ahead with it, were all mistakes. But they got what they apparently wanted. And now a few of them are starting to cotton on to the fact that they're going to suffer because of it. In the long term, it does seem pretty likely that the UK will eventually rejoin the European Union. Most likely within our lifetimes, easily. That's just a matter of waiting for the conservative boomer voter base to die off any day now, really. But when the UK rejoins, it's not going to get the same great position it used to have, that's for sure. If you're in favour of the UK being in the European Union, that'll fix itself eventually. And if you're no big fan of the UK as a political entity, you can find some comfort in knowing it's rapidly destroying itself. It is worth noting that, as popular as it is to make fun of the British people online as it is, not entirely without cause, the people who suffer the most when prices go up and wages stagnate are predominantly the poorest and most vulnerable. I won't laugh at the UK situation completely unqualified, because I do believe in feeling some sort of working class solidarity with those people. But if you do need something to laugh at in this whole debacle, however, it's always worth remembering that the big reason so many aging conservatives most enthusiastically voted for Brexit was frankly just because they're racist and think, for some reason, that leaving the EU will stop non-white immigration to the United Kingdom. If anything, it's actually done the opposite. Total migration levels have remained overall about the same, except now the UK isn't taking in mostly EU citizens. It's picking up people from Britain's former colonies like India, Pakistan, and Jamaica. Us normal people don't have a problem with that. If anything, we support helping those that want to move out of the developing world. But the people who really love Brexit don't like it for some reason. They don't like what colour their new neighbours are, or what colour their new Prime Minister is. And, well, they got what they voted for. They'd better get used to it, I guess. Once again, my name's Card. If you might want to hear more from me, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube page, or take a gander through my previous videos. Bye for now, and have a lovely day.